Hello, I'm Brian Noble, CEO of Family Policy Institute of Washington.
Hi, and I'm Brad Payne, President of FPIW Action.
A couple of disclaimers before we get started today. Nothing in this video is an endorsement of the candidate, nor the candidate's endorsement of FPIW or FPIW Action. It's simply a public service to meet and greet the candidate. Also, this will be pre-recorded and placed on several platforms, including FPIW and FPIW Action's websites. Brad?
All right, Jim. Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming on with us.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, my first question is an easy one, kind of a three-parter. If you would state your name and the position you're running for our listeners, and then also do a little introduction of yourself, a little bit about your background, and then if you're willing, share a little bit about your family.
All right. Well, my name is James Clark. I'm running for governor of Washington State. And I'll jump to the family part first, just because I have two kids. I've lived here in Lake Stevens, Washington for the last 18 years. And a little bit about myself is that I'm a father, obviously, of two kids, and the reason I'm running is basically uh, for me, the divorce system takes a tremendous toll on the state of Washington, because basically what happens is when people get divorced, you expect that you go to court, you're a fit, willing, able parent, you've been a good parent, and you go to court, and suddenly you find you can't get equal custody. And for many parents, that sets off, sometimes years of litigation to fight over custody and child support. And then people have to, go to court to testify, have guardian ad litems, you have your home inspected. There's all kinds of things that go with that, and it's all kinds of expense. And oftentimes it doesn't really help children, because, what I found is that, in my own experience going to court, and, I couldn't get equal custody. I had to fight for a year to get equal custody. And then even after I did, I had to go back for another, 12 years to try to get a fair child support order, which I could never do. The court always said, nope, all the money goes to one parent. You can't share child support money, even though at that point I'd equal shared custody. So for me, what I've seen is that, the tremendous toll it takes on families. And that's why I decided to run, because what I've found is that no other candidate is really addressing these issues as far as tackling the divorce industry, custody, child support. Nobody's speaking out, and I don't think people really understand the impact it has both on our state as a whole, because of all the tax dollars that are going into trying to solve these problems. And if people connect the dots between, how our children are suffering, how our families are suffering, and then you can see how it impacts the state as a whole. And so that's why I decided to run, to basically, help highlight the issue and, provide some leadership so that people can see, that, yeah, people are willing to take on the divorce system and actually try to make some progress on this, because it's not hard. 6 states have already done so, and Washington, I hope, will be the seventh. So,
All right. Well, let's jump down to question number three about different issues. Brad,
okay.
you answered the question on what's motivating you. Good
Yeah,
job.
all right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, sorry about
no,
that.
it's all right.
Couple other issues. You mentioned that one. Maybe you could name one or two other top priorities for you. And then what would you hope to accomplish if you're elected in office?
Yeah, beyond court reform and certainly climate change and tackling the electrical issues that we need to deal with. Our grid is failing, and what I mean by that is we're going to have EV cars connected. We need to electrify our everything as much as possible to get off fossil fuels, and so that tremendous strain on the grid needs to be addressed. So, for me, it's kind of like a 1-2 kind of thing. I would focus first on shared parenting Bill of Rights, so that basically, what I was talking about before, equal shared custody, reform child support, and then court reform, which I can go into maybe a little more in a minute. And then the climate issues that we all have to deal with. Again, electrifying the grid, basically, promoting solar, promoting new battery technologies, whether it be nuclear and fission to help balance the grid. These technologies are 5 to 10 years out, but, the investments we make now will reap huge benefits in the 2030s. And that's why, we need leadership on these issues now. And to that extent, I do agree with a lot of what Jay Inslee has been doing, Governor Inslee, so far on climate issues. And I would try to continue Washington's path in that direction.
Okay. So our fourth and final question, FPIW Action and FPIW provided you with 18 issues that we constantly working on, anywhere from environmental stewardship, property rights, education, parental rights, etc. Any others of those that you would like to discuss or have questions about?
Yeah, well, I'll focus on the public safety side of it, and this is why I think equal shared parenting is so important. Now, on my candidate website, sharedparentinggov.com, what I've done is I've provided some different PDFs and resources so people can see that when equal shared parenting is passed, it has tremendous benefits in the state. First of all, it actually reduces the divorce rate, which people would find surprising, but when you think about it, if one parent can't get an edge up, when they say, oh, maybe it's not working out, but the one parent doesn't get, the home, the kids, all the money, it oftentimes motivates them to kind of work it out more than just, getting the golden parachute as they leave. So, so it reduces divorce rates. It also reduces domestic violence. What happened is in Spain in the early 2000s, I think 4 or 5 provinces out of the total enacted equal shared parenting. So it was kind of an interesting way, kind of like in the United States, we had some states do it and some states don't. You see the comparison. Well, in Spain, in those few short years, in the provinces that did, you saw a remarkable drop in domestic violence. That's why we know, with the data, and that's supported by Kentucky as well. So, so what you find is, again, less domestic violence, and it also, the criminal justice system. There's kind of a twofold issue to equal shared parenting. When kids are separated from their fathers, oftentimes they have additional problems with alcohol, drugs, delinquency, depression. Those kind of issues that tend to lead them into both the youth, criminal justice system, and then as adults. As adults, I think 85% of prisoners are fatherless. The men, don't have fathers, and same with the youth. I think it's close to like 90% of youth, in correctional facilities are fatherless. So we can see the impact that it has on pushing, when fathers are absent from children's lives, they tend to go into crime more. And on the flip side, too, is what you find is that, our court systems, while judges and commissioners are focused on prosecuting parents to figure out which one is the best parent and try to give custody, all those court resources are being taken from the criminal justice system. And so what happens is that you have more crime happening on one side, and then you have all those, commissioners, judges, lawyers, court resources, courtroom, all that stuff, being kind of misallocated. So they're not focusing on criminal justice. And, real world story, here in Lake Stevens, we had a math teacher, 10th grade math teacher who was, Lake Stevens School District basically said, stay away from this young girl. He was doing inappropriate things. They figured out, something's going on, but just stay away from her. He wouldn't. So police got involved, 50 hours of taped interviews with teachers and students and everything. And they said, okay, yeah, he definitely went over the line. He needs to be prosecuted. They give it to the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, and they say, we got 7,400 cases in our backlog. We just don't have the resources to prosecute him. So, here you have, a sexual predator who's basically, a free man and free to, continue teaching in our school systems. So you can kind of see that, on our criminal justice system, if we fix equal shared parenting, it fixes it in 2 ways. First, you have less people going into crime, and all those resources can go back to the criminal justice side to reduce our backlogs so that, people get convicted and they do not repeat offend, because what's the punishment? If you can keep doing something, you're going to keep doing it. So that's why I believe that focusing on shared parenting is good for our families and good for our state, because when you look through the budget and all the money that's spent, criminal justice, suicide, drugs, gangs, educational things, these kids that are in our schools. Yeah, and they're kind of, I volunteered in the Lake Stevens school system and for 10 years as a parent volunteer, 1 hour a week in each of my children's classrooms. And I could see there's a lot of kids that are just, kind of checked out. They're not fully there. And they, and I don't know necessarily if that was, fully because they were fatherless or not. But, point is that, the more we connect fathers, the more we keep them in kids' lives, the more it's better, not only for those kids, but, those that surround them in the classrooms, in our communities and elsewhere. So that's why I was running to help provide leadership on this issue.
Excellent.
Right. Well, Jim, thank you. I know you're a busy person, and we thank you for taking the time out to visit with us today, and we wish you luck.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'm Brad Payne with FPIW Action.
And I'm Brian Noble with FPIW. I want to remind you that nothing in this video is an endorsement of the candidate, nor the candidate's endorsement of FPIW or FPIW Action. Like we like to say around here, love your neighbor by faithfully stewarding the public square. God bless.